the recent development of news has scared off a lot of teams for the right reason. But maybe there's still an opportunity to get a deal done for Anthony Davis. Let's look at the recent development for the injury, the newest stories that have come out as a result, and if the Raptors could still be interested in acquiring his services. So Shams Charania at ESPN, I'll pull up the tweet here, put out this one that really shook the Anthony Davis trade industry, we'll call it. It said, Dallas Mavericks star Anthony Davis sustained a ligament damage in his left hand. Sources tell me and Tim McMahon, depending on second opinion and if surgery is needed, Davis could miss a number of months. So Anthony Davis, what's new, has picked up another injury. This was a player that was rumored to be maybe getting put on the trade block by the Dallas Mavericks, and rumors were circulating that the Toronto Raptors were one of the teams that were the most interested in acquiring his services. Then this news breaks, and there is a drastic shift in the probability of Anthony Davis getting traded. Anthony Davis had a pretty good chance of getting traded, but ever since this news has come out, he has fallen down to, actually, this is taking a jump today, which might highlight something I'm going to say. So it's gone up 8%. It was at 9% on him. But for Anthony Davis, 17% chance of getting traded. Right before the injury news broke, he had a 75% chance of getting traded, and this news made this plummet all the way down to where we're seeing it right now. But for a period of time, it was looking very likely that he was getting traded, and the Raptors were one of the teams interested. Maybe this has scared some teams off, but we should look into if the Raptors might still want to try and pull this one off. And the reason I say that is you could make a case that the Raptors team, despite their record, it's excellent, it's 24-16. You might make a case that this is not a championship caliber team, and trading for Anthony Davis helps get you closer to that going forward. As a result of this injury, there's not going to be a lot of interest out there for Anthony Davis. So could this be the opportune moment for you to get Anthony Davis in on an extremely cut price deal? Players like Anthony Davis don't become available often at all. So to be able to get him for a cut price deal, is that something that entices the Raptors? You'll have to flirt with what it does for your team for the rest of the season, but maybe consider something if it's worth it. Let's try to build out a trade here, and then we'll look into if it's something that the Raptors should actually realistically concede. Think about. So the problem is the $54 million and getting up to that $54 million. I don't see any reason to trade for a center if you're not putting Jakob Poeltl in the deal. And what if at the same time you could get off the Immanuel Quickley contract? Let's see. So Jakob Poeltl's not trade eligible until January 7th. It is past January 7th, so this needs to update. But that's a trade that could get done. What if the Raptors are able to get Anthony Davis and it only costs them one first-round pick? They give them a future first. Let's say 2027, because the idea is to be good next year. They give them a future first. You get off the Immanuel Quickley contract. You get off the Jakob Poeltl contract. Costs you one pick to get Anthony Davis. There's some level of me that feels enticed by that idea. I'm not going to lie. It's just a player of that caliber coming into your team, and you're not really giving up much in order to make it happen. I think that's something that absolutely should be at least coming to a consideration from a front office perspective, if the Dallas Mavericks would even be willing to do something like that in the first place, which obviously would have to be a factor in that whole ordeal as well. But it's just being able to get that player at that price. Now, the problem with doing that is what it does for your team for the rest of the season, for sure. Like, you're in a really good spot in the Eastern Conference right now. You are fourth in the East. You are 24-16. You are making a very strong push for the playoffs. I think that the Raptors are one of the 6 best teams in the Eastern Conference. Absolutely. I think they should be in the playoffs this year. The team, the vibes around it are spectacular right now. Sure, there's a lot of games that maybe they don't deserve to win, but they're grinding at a ton of wins. This is a playoff team. The fan base is kind of hyped around it. The players seem really hyped about it. It's a strong position right now for the on-court product for the Raptors. So part of what you have to do in this situation is convince the players and the fan base that this is the right move forward. And I think it would be not a great look and a not great vote of trust going towards Bobby Webster and the Raptors when I was from the players if they're doing this well and he still decides to make this trade and as a result start to tank. Because you make this trade, you're taking a step back. Your team is getting worse. That's a pretty tough sell to a team that has put in so much work to get into this position at this point in the NBA season. We're halfway through. The Raptors are the 4th seed in the East. They're 24-16. That's a tough sell to the players. Kind of a tough sell to the fan base as well, that you're bringing in a player that's basically going to sit. If you trade for Anthony Davis right now, he probably gets the Brandon Ingram treatment and sits for the rest of the season. So that adds to the complexity of it. So for me, like I said, I find this to be enticing, but I think it's a real bad look from a player perspective and a fan perspective to abandon what has been an extremely successful start to the season. Look, if you're sitting in like the 9 or 10 seed right now, that might be something I seriously look at and say, well, we should tank anyways, and when we get out of the tank, you have Anthony Davis waiting for you. But, like I said, bad look for the players, bad look for the fan base. You're putting your trust in Anthony Davis, who can't stay healthy, keeps picking up injuries, who's getting older. Like, you have to put your trust in that. And on top of that, there has to actually be an interest from the Dallas Mavericks side of things to get the contracts of Emmanuel Quickley and Jakob Poeltl, which every indication around the league is that both of those contracts are extremely undesirable, particularly Emmanuel Quickley. So why would the Dallas Mavericks go out and do that? I think for Dallas, get Anthony Davis healthy. I think Dallas honestly should probably really consider just not trading him right now. Just hold him. Try to move him when there's a lot more certainty around his health and a team that's acquiring him can actually use him. There's just way, way too much going on right now around Anthony Davis where I just don't think Dallas Mavericks are even going to end up moving him like we saw, pretty unlikely from a percentage standpoint. Granted, it's going up, but still, even where it is right now in Kalshi, the prediction market, which in a market that doesn't have a ton of volume in it, 18% chance for Anthony Davis would indicate that it's unlikely we see a move, and I think it's really unlikely that we see a move surrounding the Raptors as well. Dallas will be looking for more picks, but hey, I think Bobby Webster wouldn't be doing his job if he's not at least calling and trying to lowball the shit out of them just to kind of gauge the interest on him. That's what I think he should be doing right now, but I wouldn't expect anything to happen here.